How's everybody doing today? Good. All right, we've had a pretty good week so far this week. Certainly a real challenge for us to do the things that we need to do as a team to get prepared to play a Mississippi State team that's probably playing their best football of the season. Another opportunity for us to sort of show what kind of competitors that we are. We're certainly glad to be back home in Bryant-Denny Stadium, and hopefully the environment Saturday will be encouraging. I know it's an early game, but we need the players to start fast, but we all need to start fast so that we can create the kind of atmosphere and environment that has an impact on the game, which I certainly think in the last game we had here against Texas A&M, it really did have an impact on the game. We really don't have any new injuries to report. Everybody's working in practice, and we got a couple guys that are a little nicked up, and but this time of the year I think that's pretty normal.
Okay, we'll start over here with Aaron.
Coming off an emotional game that LSU is every year, what are the challenges in getting ready for an 11 o'clock kick?
Well, I don't know that 11 o'clock kick means much anything unless it means something to you. It's the same old thing. Game starts at 11 o'clock. Everybody knows it starts at 11 o'clock. That means we have pregame meal 4 hours before the game, and you got to get ready to play at 11 o'clock. So I don't know what last week's game has to do with playing at 11 o'clock this week. I don't know what 11 o'clock. If you're a good player, you're ready to play when you got to play. When the whistle blows, you're ready to play. I mean, sometimes we practice in the morning, sometimes we practice at night, sometimes we practice in the afternoon, but I don't expect that to determine how a guy plays. If he's a competitor and he's working on trying to get better and play his best and be his best as a football player. So I can't answer that question because I really don't know.
Go here in the middle with Rick.
I'm just wondering how different Jonathan Allen is than when he set foot on campus 3.5 years ago. And I'm also wondering if you can tell with a player like that he's from a military family, that his father is a lifelong military member.
Well, Jonathan's a very task-oriented, sort of disciplined type guy. So I guess some of those factors could relate to the fact that, I know his father. I know what kind of person he is. I know how the standard that he sort of sets for Jonathan in terms of what his expectation is as a person, as a student and as a football player. And, Jonathan has a pretty high standard for what he expects of himself in all those areas. And when we recruited Jonathan, we thought he was a really, really athletic, probably be a defensive end. Didn't know for sure if he'd be big enough to really sort of ever be able to play all the positions in the defensive line and might just be an edge rusher. Well, what he's growing into is, because he's gotten bigger and stronger, is he meets all the size criteria for his position, but he still has those athletic qualities he had when he weighed 250 or 60 pounds, and he's very athletic, and it makes him a unique pass rusher now with the power and strength that he has. So, but when it comes to good person, doing the right things, working hard all the time, having a high standard for what he wants to achieve and what he wants to do and trying to go about it the right way. He's a real warrior in all those regards, and we certainly, and he's always done whatever we ask him to do for the team. Last year he could have been a starter, most places, and probably played about, half the time. But we had a lot of good defensive linemen, and they all rotated, and I think that helped our team in the long run, and I think it helped him in the long run. So he's been very, very productive this year, and I can't say enough good things about him. I don't know that there's not been one time in the 4 years that he's been here that he's ever come to my office because he didn't do something the right way.
We'll go on the left side with Rainer.
What strides have you guys made in the passing game, and have you seen progress from Jalen Hurts on a week-to-week basis, and is that progress noticeable on a week-to-week basis?
Right. Well, it hasn't been noticeable, in the last game. I didn't think. They have a good secondary. They have a good scheme. we're out of sorts a little bit in the passing game, but, Jalen's had a really good week this week. Just sat down with him and watched some plays and showed him the simplicity of sort of this is what you're supposed to look at, this is what you're supposed to do, and this is what you should have done. And it's not really that complicated, and we can't make it more complicated than it is. And I think he's really worked harder this week in preparation in terms of trying to understand. And I think sometimes, guys that have success running as quarterbacks, it's a little more difficult for them to get the mindset that they want to be a complete player because they know they have the ability to take off running all the time, and that's when they had success, and that's what they get a lot of positive self-gratification from. But to be a complete player and for our team to be a complete offensive team, we talked about the fact that we got to get 3, 13, 88, all those guys, need to get the ball. And we have to do a good job of executing as an offensive team to get them the ball. And, it's pass protection, it's quarterback reads, it's good route running, it's timing, it's a lot of things. But, and I think he's very, very dedicated to trying to make progress in those areas. And he's had a really good week this week.
Come back over here with Mark.
Yeah, I just want to ask you about the pass rush. How would you assess that through this season, and what would you attribute the high sack numbers to?
Well, I think that we're not so much worried about sacks as we are how do we affect the quarterback. Obviously, sacks do affect the quarterback, but hits on the quarterback affect the quarterback too. And pressures on the quarterback and pushing the pocket up the middle so the guy can't step up and throw the ball, or making the guy move his feet and maybe he doesn't make as accurate throws. All those things are factors, in affecting a quarterback, disguising the coverage in the back end, being able to play good coverage in the back end. So we have affected a lot of the quarterbacks that we played, but I certainly think it's going to be important that we continue to do that. And our guys have to really accept that challenge as we move forward because, like this guy is very big, athletic, hard to sack, but athletic enough to move in the pocket and scramble and make plays scrambling and throwing, scrambling and running. So this is going to be a bigger challenge for us than most of the guys that we played against all year.
Come in the middle, Michael.
Two quick ones. With Reuben Foster, we noticed he had a club on his hand in practice. How does that affect a linebacker?
He hurt his finger. So to protect his finger in practice, they put this big club on there. Obviously, it's helpful if you can use your hands when you take on blockers, when you shed blocks, when you tackle. Sometimes you grab cloth. It'll be much smaller in the game, so he will have some use. But I don't think that it will affect his play at all.
Second, Jalen went a few games, 4 games, I think, without an interception. He's had at least one interception in the last 4. Is there something with that? Are our teams playing him differently in that sense?
No, we're just not making the progress in the passing game and making decisions and getting our feet and doing things with accuracy like we need to, and we just need to develop a little more consistency in that regard.
Come back over here to Tony.
Have you noticed a difference in the maturity of Ronnie Harrison since the start of the season?
Ronnie's always been a pretty focused guy. He's a very serious guy. He's a very bright guy. He has a good understanding of what we're trying to do. He plays multiple positions in the secondary. He's a really good competitor. Sometimes he gets a little emotional in the games, and sometimes I don't think that serves him well. But other than that, I think he's very, very mature about the way he goes about his business and the way he competes in the game, and he's played very well for us.
Come back over to Chris Walsh.
I want to ask you about 2 individuals. Richie Brown from Mississippi State, is he kind of one of those players, even an opposing coach, can kind of appreciate? And second of all, Trent Richardson being around, did you get a chance to spend any time with him last week?
I spent a little time with Trent last week in practice, and he came out and ran and was Leonard Fournette for a day, and I think it really helped our players. We had John Parker here for a couple days being the quarterback. I think that helped us too. So, But, you know, I think that all the players wanting to come back, wanting to contribute to the program shows their gratitude and appreciation for what they were able to accomplish here, what they were able to do, and the opportunities it created for them. And I just love it that they all want to come back and that they all want to be here. I know we got some guys coming back this week, too, that we're anxious to see. But sure, we'd love to see Trent get it turned around and, you know, get it on track. So, you know, I don't really know how to comment about other people's players. I don't really know them that well. I can only comment about how they play, and the guy's a really good player.
Cecil?
Coach, with B.J. Emmons out, you're basically, I guess, at 3 running backs. Damian had a high ankle sprain. You know, I guess Bo's been nicked up at some points in the season. Is that just natural at that running back position that you get to this time of year and guys are banged and bruised?
Well, I think it is, but, you know, we went into the season where that was not a position where we had an extraordinary amount of depth. We had 2 freshman players that came through for us very nicely, Josh Jacobs and B.J. Emmons. You know, we're sorry that B.J. got hurt because he was really coming along and doing well and had really started to become the kickoff returner. But, you know, the guys are a little banged up, and it is concerning. But we do have Derek Gore, who we think is a good next guy that can make a contribution if he needs to, and he's been a good special teams player for us. But, you know, lack of depth at certain positions is certainly a concern. We have it at other positions on our team as well, and sometimes you can ill afford to lose any other players, and I think we're at that position in several of our depth situations.
2 more very quickly, Tom and Alex.
First, wanted to get your thoughts on yesterday's presidential election, and secondly, do you feel like it's best for active coaches to avoid political talk publicly?
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't even know yesterday was election day. So it was so important to me that I didn't even know it was happening. We're focused on other things here. I don't really make political comments. So if I say I like one person, that means that everybody that voted for the other person doesn't like me. So why would I do that? You know, I want what's best for our country. I'm not sure I can figure that out. I want what's best for, you know, people who want to improve the quality of their life. And I hope whoever our leader is will certainly do all that he can do to make our country safe and improve the quality of life of a lot of the people, you know, that we have in our country. And I don't think I'm qualified to determine, you know, who that should be.
Last one right here.
Nick, usually leadership qualities are something you get from a lot of veterans, guys that have been around a lot, but it seems like this team, you got a good mix of younger guys that are stepping up, and like Jalen, like Calvin, that are becoming leaders. Just, is that unique to you? Is that kind of interesting to you?
No, we've always tried to promote leadership at all levels on our team, and not just have one guy do it or one class do it. I think people that have leadership qualities and natural leadership that affect other people, that set a good example, that act like other people want to emulate, and care enough about others on the team to try to help them. I don't think that we want to inhibit that in any way, no matter what class a guy is in or what his status on the team is. So we've always tried to promote that. We've actually even had leadership seminars around here to promote that in our players. And I think most of our players know that if they can affect other people in a positive way, that increases the value for them in whatever their future endeavors are, because that's something that everybody can't do. But it's also something that everybody's looking for.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.